She wasn't supposed to break the rules, but she did. Now, there's no turning back. In Ayunda, one choice can change your life or end it.
In the quiet village of Ayunda, where tradition dictated every aspect of life, the purity of young women was the most sacred thing. Their virginity was a mark of honor, not only for their families, but for the entire community. For generations, the village upheld a strict code. No girl was to be touched by a man until her wedding night. This rule was more than just a tradition. It was the core of the village's identity. Breaking it was unimaginable. That was, until Leona arrived. Leona was an outsider, a mysterious woman whose beauty was as striking as her defiance of the village's rules. She arrived in Ayunda with no clear past and no clear intention, but it didn't take long for her to stir the quiet waters of the village. Unlike the other women, Leona did not care about the so-called purity. She laughed at the idea, calling it an outdated chain meant to control women, and she wasn't quiet about it. The young girls of the village listened to her words, intrigued by her boldness. As the months went on, whispers about Leona's nighttime disappearances began to spread. She would leave her hut late at night, vanishing into the darkness only to return at dawn, with gifts and treasures she claimed were from distant lands. But the truth was far simpler. Leona was selling her body to men passing through the village, and the young girls, captivated by her confidence and freedom, began to follow her lead. One by one, they slipped away from their homes at night, meeting men in secret. It began with stolen kisses and innocent touches, but it didn't take long for things to escalate. These men, some travelers, some from neighboring villages, paid the girls for their company, and the girls, who had always been told to guard their purity, found themselves enjoying the power they now held over men. They were no longer the innocent daughters waiting for marriage. They had control. The once sacred purity the village cherished was being sold, piece by piece. The girls quickly learned that there was profit in their bodies, and they began to accept money, gifts, and promises from the men who sought them out. What had started as defiance against tradition became a business. Leona taught them how to negotiate, how to demand more, and how to keep it all a secret. But secrets in a village as small as Ayunda don't stay hidden for long. It was during the annual purity ceremony when everything began to unravel. The village gathered, as they did every year, to watch the young girls pledge their virginity before the elders. Dressed in flowing white gowns, the girls stood in the village square, the torches flickering as the elders prayed over them. But this year, something was different. The girls were nervous, shifting uncomfortably under the gazes of the elders. Their innocence, once visible in their bright eyes, was now clouded by guilt. As the prayers ended, one of the elders, an old man named Biko, stepped forward. He looked out at the girls, his sharp eyes scanning each one. Then he spoke. "Something has changed this year," he said, his voice heavy with suspicion. "There are whispers in this village, whispers that the purity we hold so dear has been defiled." The crowd murmured, eyes darting between the girls. The tension was thick, and the girls remained silent, their heads bowed. But Biko wasn't finished. "If there is truth to these rumors, the girls who have broken their vow must come forward, now." For a moment there was silence. Then, one by one, the girls lifted their heads. The truth was clear. They had been discovered. Chaos erupted in the square. Mothers screamed, fathers shouted, demanding to know what had happened. The girls, who had once been the pride of the village, were now branded as whores. They had betrayed their families, their community, and the sacred traditions that had kept the village together for generations. Leona stood at the edge of the crowd, watching with a satisfied smile. She had never cared for the village's rules, and now neither did the girls. They had tasted freedom, and they weren't about to give it up. As the night wore on, the village elders gathered to discuss what was to be done. The decision was unanimous. The girls were to be cast out. They were no longer welcome in the village. Their families disowned them, and the once innocent daughters of Ayunda became outcasts, forced to fend for themselves. But what the village didn't realize was that the girls didn't need them anymore. They had learned to survive in a way the elders could never understand. Leona had shown them the way, and together they left Ayunda, not as victims, but as women who had taken control of their own lives, even if it meant selling their bodies to do it. The village of Ayunda would never be the same. The once sacred purity that defined the girls' worth had been shattered. The men who had secretly enjoyed their company pretended they were innocent. But the truth was clear. The girls were not the only ones who had broken the village's sacred code. And while the village mourned the loss of its purity, the girls found a new life beyond its borders, a life where they made the rules. Ayunda's story became a cautionary tale, not about the dangers of losing one's virginity, but about the danger of a society that values purity over the lives of its women. The girls had been called prostitutes, but in the end, they were the ones who had found their freedom. And Leona, the outsider, had shown them that sometimes breaking the rules was the only way to truly live. Thank you for joining Jum's journey and experiencing the power of acceptance and resilience with us. If you found her story inspiring, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Stay tuned for more captivating tales ahead. Until next time, farewell.